Update 1 on Tropical Storm Karen, which has formed in the Atlantic and the southern Gulf of Mexico already with winds of 65 miles per hour and a pressure of 1004 millibars. Current position is 22.2 degrees north, 87.9 degrees west, which puts it just north of the tip of the Yucatán Peninsula. Expected to move towards the north into the Gulf of Mexico, possibly becoming a hurricane along the way, and then making landfall along the Gulf Coast of the United States, probably in Alabama or the extreme western part of Florida before moving inland and degenerating into a remnant low eventually somewhere over the United States along the east coast there. But the threat does remain that we may see a hurricane landfall, quite possibly. Hurricane watch is in effect from Grand Isle, Louisiana to Indian Pass in Florida, so that's pretty much large parts of the Gulf Coast there, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama and parts of Florida. Tropical storm watches from Grand Isle to Morgan City, Louisiana, as well as metropolitan New Orleans, Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain. So that's the current situation there. Sea surface temperatures are currently fairly warm where the storm is right now, around 28, maybe 29 degrees Celsius, and that extends pretty much all the way to the coast of the United States in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Certainly warm enough to sustain tropical cyclone development. So looking at the intensity comparisons then, this is what the what two of the models are saying at the moment. It's quite a new one, so not all of them are in yet, but you can see here how the DSHP model predicts a possible hurricane forming, certainly around the periphery of hurricane status, and if anything we'll probably see a strong tropical storm landfall at the very least when it does make landfall. There you can see the track forecast, what it says there, pretty much along the border with Alabama and Florida at the moment. That's what the forecast models are saying right now. The shear comparisons, you can see how it rises over the next few days. That's going to be an inhibitor if that goes into effect, quite high, going up to around 30-40 knots of shear, which would certainly be have a degenerative effect on the storm. Sea surface temperatures fairly warm right now, as I said, possibly rising to around 29, maybe 29.5 before gradually dropping off to around 28 degrees when it makes landfall, and the relative humidity is around average, around 50 to 60%, and that will remain the case at least for a good while. Certainly until it makes landfall, its eventual landfall, whatever intensity it may be. We'll certainly be watching this one. So this is what it looks like at the moment, the satellite imagery. You can see how it's entered the Gulf of Mexico in the past day or two, certainly in the past few hours. You can see how most of the storm is now over the Gulf of Mexico rather than the Caribbean Sea. Cuba having a bit of heavy rainfall there along the western tip. The tip of Yucatán Peninsula as well might be seeing some rainfall at the moment. Towards the west of the storm you can see lots of dry air hanging around there in the Gulf of Mexico. So the storm will have trouble, it will have trouble developing any real rain showers along the western side, at least for the time being. And as you can see here, most of the heaviest rainfall is centered towards the east and the southeast of the storm at this time. A little bit developing towards the north, but not too much just yet. We'll see how that one develops over the next few days. So this is the current situation around the world. Invest 93E in the eastern Pacific. Of course, we've got Karen, tropical depression Jerry, which is weakening, likely to turn post-tropical before reaching the Azores. Invest 99A in the Arabian Sea. Typhoon Fito, which we just did an update on in the last hour, and tropical depression 23W in the western Pacific, as well as Invest 99W as well. In the Atlantic Ocean, these are the two storms right now, Karen and Jerry, both at either side of the Atlantic Ocean at the moment. Jerry hanging around not too far from the Azores, likely to move towards the northeast, and Karen, of course, moving towards the north through the Gulf of Mexico. No other systems likely to form in the next few days. So Karen is the 11th tropical storm, that's 2013, making it the 56th busiest season on record. Certainly in the top half right now. 2 hurricanes so far. Karen could be the 3rd, and of course no major hurricanes so far. And it's also interesting to note that the Eastern Pacific hasn't had any either, which hasn't happened since 1968, where both basins are completely free of major hurricanes in a year. So you can track this storm at the website force13.com/stormtracking.html. There you can navigate to the Atlantic page to see what's going on, but the storm tracking page is the big overview map showing all the storms in the world at the moment, including post-tropical storms and invests, and with tables at the top bottom showing the intensities and indeed any warnings that are currently in effect. Of course, we have hurricane watches in effect at the moment, tropical storm watches as well, but no warnings just yet. That may change as time goes on, especially if Karen continues to intensify as it has been doing in the past few hours. In particular, around early this morning it was around 45 miles per hour. Right now we're up to 65 miles per hour. It could reach hurricane status by tomorrow at the rate it's going. The next update on Karen will probably follow at around 3 PM UTC tomorrow. That'll be Friday the 4th of October, but until then, that's all for now.